Hey guys, these are the notes for factoring trinomials. If you notice, it's called a trinomials because there are three terms. We have a ax squared, a bx, and a c. Now, what's really important about these is that the x's have to be in order from least to greatest from the exponent. So that's why our x squared comes first. This is x to the first, and this one does not have any x, or x to the 0 power, and this is where our constant should be. So the very first thing is that you have to put them in order. So that's how we start these problems. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to figure out the GCF from the beginning. Now it could be as little as 1 or it could be as big as like a 50x cubed. Either way, there will be a GCF in the very beginning. Now the next thing we do is that we're going to use A and C. So it's in alphabetical order. A is the coefficient, or the number in front, of x squared, and C is the constant. So we're going to multiply those together. Then we're going to use our B value. So what we're going to do is that we're going to draw this x, and we have to figure out what two numbers, so we're trying to find two terms, that are going to multiply, that's why there's an x here, multiply to get when we multiplied A and C, and we're going to add those same numbers to get B. Now the rest of these things is pretty much what we did when we factored by grouping, so we'll get to that once we get to an example. So our first example is 6x squared minus 31x, that's a plus 31x plus 5. So the very first thing is we find the GCF. Well, we see that there's no variables in common, and the biggest number that can go into 6, 31, and 5 is 1. So my GCF is 1. Now, if I divide these by 1, nothing changes. That's the only time you don't have to divide is when your GCF is 1. So we move on to this x. So we figure out that A is the coefficient in front of x squared, which is 6. My C is positive 5. We're going to multiply these, and it's going to be on the top. So 6 times 5 is 30. Now, we bring our B value to the bottom. So a good way to remember is B is for bottom. Now, this is what I was talking about up here with multiplying and adding. We're going to take the factors of the top number, so the number that we multiplied. We're going to write all the factors. So we know that 1 times 30 will equal 30. 2 times 15 will equal 30. 3 times 10 will equal 30. And 5 times 6 will equal 30. So these are all the pairs that when I multiply, I still get the number on top. Now, this is where the tricky part comes in. When I add these, I want the B value. So the only pair, when I add them, that will give me 31 is this 1 and 30. So if we added 2 and 15, that's 17. This is 13, and this is 11. So the only pair will give me 31 is 1 and 30. Now we're going to fill in our box like we did yesterday. So the very first term goes here. Last term. Now, this extra box is for the B term. So we put plus 31x. Now the way we fill in the rest of the box are the two numbers that we found. So we put a 1 here and a 30 here. Now if you notice, this has an x and these don't have x's. So whatever variable has the B value, you have to put that variable. So to check to make sure we did it right, we have to add 30x plus 1x should give you this B term, which it does, which is 31x. Now we do exactly what we did yesterday. So the GCF at the top is 1x. The GCF on the bottom is positive 5. The GCF of the first column is 6x. The GCF of the next column is positive 1. So we put our answers together. Remember, we don't have to put the 1 in front of the x. And just for the beginning, whatever GCF we have, we're going to put that in the front. Normally, we do not put the 1, but just as a habit for now, we can put the 1 there. Okay, next one, we're going to go to problem number 2. So again, a little bit faster. So the GCF of these are 1, because this number in front of x squared is 1. Biggest number that can go into 1, 12 and 20 is 1. We draw our x. Now, 1 is A, 20 is C, so we get 20 on top. Now our B value is negative 12. Now we're always going to do the factor chart for the very top one. So 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. Now if you notice though, when we add these, I get 21, 12, and 9, which does not give me negative 12 yet. Now, the one that does give me 12 though is 2 and 10. Well, the way to get negative 12, but also multiplying to get a positive 2, is just simply adding negatives to both of those. So negative 2 times negative 10 will still give you positive 20, but it'll add to get negative 12. So we fill in our box. So we got 1x squared, negative 12x goes in the middle, positive 20 on the end. Let's fill in with the numbers. So we got a negative 2, negative 10. The variable that the b value had was x. GCF of the top is 1x. GCF of the bottom is negative 10, since it leads with the negative. GCF of this column is 1x. GCF of this one is negative 2, since this one leads with the negative. Write them together. So we got x minus 10, x minus 2. Pull the GCF down that we took out, and that's our final answer. So these two problems are how to factor trinomials.